Alrighty, folk. Sipping on this, y'all ever had cranberry juice? Bro, when I tell you, it is so good. Like, bro, man, I can't stop drinking this. Bro, let me put this drink down and actually get to teaching y'all. Anyway, this is the episode 6 of the Array Archive series. In this episode, we're going to be going over the one and only, the most famous PD array. The fair value gap. You've heard of it everywhere. You've heard it on Instagram pages. You've heard it on TikTok pages. You've heard it on YouTube. And you've heard it maybe in some courses that you bought. Hopefully, you didn't buy a course. I pray to God you didn't buy one. Right? Right? Okay. The fair value gap forms constantly. Constantly on every time frame. 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, 30 minute, 1 hour, 4 hour, daily, weekly, monthly. Does not matter. It forms on all of them. What happens whenever a fair value gap is created, okay? You have two versions. You have a BISI and a SIBI. A BISI is simply a bullish fair value gap, and then a SIBI is simply a bearish fair value gap. So a fair value gap that forms while prices going down, and then vice versa, which is a fair value gap that forms while prices going higher. So when it comes to understanding fair value gaps and how they actually work, think of it as this, right? A bullish fair value gap would be this right here. See that? I'm going to show you the actual candlestick formation in a second, but that is a fair value gap right there. We would call this a BISI. Why? The name BISI, or I guess you could say the term, stands for buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency. What that means is, inside of this range here, in between this candle's high, right there, see that candle's high? Between this candle's low, that range, there is strictly buys, or just strictly buy side delivery within that range. No point of selling at all. No sales, period. There's no orders of no nothing, no shorts right here at all. It's just strictly buy, all within that zone. So what price has to do, remember, refer back to the name, buy side imbalance. That means there's too much of buy side, sell side inefficiency. That means there's not enough sell side to, I guess you could say, close in this range or to efficiently, hear the word, inefficiency, efficiently. Yeah, you hear the correlation, right? To efficiently deliver price within this range, to efficiently fulfill this range, to make sure both buy side and sell side gets delivered. Is that understood? So what price will do is, with this bullish fair value gap right here, let's mark it so I don't have to keep doing that. Within these bullish fair value gap, price will tend to paint over it. Okay, you know a paintbrush, how you have to go up and down, up and down, up and down to make sure that the wall is fully painted. If you were a painter, or if you just get the analogy in general. That's basically what price is doing here. If it swipes up and there's still some sort of gap within that wall that needs to be painted over, guess what? Price is going to come back down to fill that gap on the wall and efficiently paint the wall to where it's fully covered and there's not just random spots all over the wall that haven't been painted. You get what I'm saying? So if price swipes up and there's a gap, guess what? Price is going to swipe right back down and paint both sides of the market, buy side and sell side. Pretty simple, right? So when it comes to BISI and SIBI, or buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency, or sell side imbalance, buy side inefficiency, how you can remember the terms for bearish and bullish fair value gap is BISI goes for buy side, well, I'm just going to say that, and SIBI goes for a bearish fair value gap. I'm going to say that again. BISI goes for a bullish fair value gap, SIBI goes for a bearish fair value gap. Think of it as this, right? For a SIBI, which is a bearish fair value gap, if you were to take a position at that fair value gap, what position would you take? You would take a sell position, right? What letter is the first letter in the word sell? It's a S. What's the first letter in SIBI? S. There you go. That's how you find. That's how you don't confuse yourself, right there. Now, if we had a bullish fair value gap or a BISI, what position would you place? What order would you get into? You would get into a buy, right? What's the first letter of buy? B. What's the first letter of BISI? B. Get the correlation? You got it. Okay, so now you know the difference between BISI and SIBI, what they actually correlate to, and how you can not forget. Anyway, let's go into the actual candlestick formation of what an actual fair value gap is. Man, there's this pipe that's like right next to my not my window, but my monitor, well, my microphone, and it's like clicking right now. I'm guessing someone is using the water below us, but it doesn't really matter anyway. Let's get to teaching this. So we have one bullish fair value gap right here. Okay, it's from here to here. I would not really do that because there's a volume balance there. Yeah, no, we're not even going to confuse you today. We're just going to stick to what I was going to stick to. And yeah, so we have two fair value gaps right here. This one, we mark that as fair value gap right there, also known as a SIBI. And then we have another bearish fair value gap, which is also another SIBI. Wow, the noise suppression is amazing. You can't even hear the clicks that I was talking about. That's crazy. And it's like really loud too. I can barely teach. Anyway, a fair value gap forms within 3 candles. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Pretty simple, isn't it? Now, if you look here, if I hide all the drawings, right? Or let me see. Can I hide these? If I hide this, you see the resemblance, right? You do see what I mean. Let me pull this down. 1, 2, 3. 1. Fair value gap. 2, 3. See it? You see what I'm talking about? So I'm going to explain this in just a second. In a series of 3 candles, right? Whenever the first and third candles wicks do not collide, in which we see this here, you see that? The third candle's high, first candle's low for a bearish fair value gap. When they don't collide, the second candle becomes the fair value gap. The second candle, I guess you can say, becomes the middleman for the actual fair value gap. It's what actually holds the imbalance of sell side here. Sell side imbalance, buy side inefficiency. There's no, not even mainly. There is no buy side within this range here. Want to mark it again? Let me unhide the drawings wherever they are. Let me unhide them. So in between that range, there is no what? No form of what? Buy side. There's no buy side within that range. What is here then? Sell side. Get it? Sell side imbalance. That means there's too much of sell side. Buy side inefficiency. There is no buy side within this area. Buy side is no such thing here. It doesn't exist. Within this range, that's not even a concept here. So what price is going to do is from the first candle's low to the third candle's high is what? It's the fair value gap. Remember, within a series of 3 candles, the first candle and third candle, whenever their wicks don't collide, and wicks as in these little thin things right here. See that? That's a wick. It's just like a candle, as if you light it up with a lighter. It's the same exact thing. Whenever that happens, that separation between the first and third candle creates a fair value gap. Understood, right? Yeah, it's pretty simple. So what price is going to do is, guess what? Since there is a major imbalance here, and since we're on such a large time frame, the larger the time frame, the more significant the PD array becomes. I forgot to mention that. And we're on a 4-hour, which is a pretty decent time frame when it comes to higher time frames. Price is going to rebalance this. Does it do that? Yep. Yep, it does. This is just one thing that price does constantly. There's 3 things that I said that price does constantly. Not that I said, the ICT said. I'm not even gonna say me, because all this I learned from that guy, Michael J. Huddleston, ICT Inner Circle Trader, that guy. So these are not my words. These are his words. Are you ready? There's 3 things that price does, and one of them is something we're going over right now. One is price is always seeking liquidity. You should know what liquidity is. If you're on my channel and watching these videos, you should know what liquidity is. 1, price is always seeking liquidity. 2, price is always rebalancing imbalances. Listen, pause for a second. What is this? Do you know what this is? This is an imbalance. It's in the name, because this is a what? SIBI. Sell side. Say the word. You say it. I'm not saying it. You say it. Imbalance. Yeah, you hear that, right? Sell side imbalance. So this is a what? An imbalance of sell side right there. Buy side inefficiency. So the second thing that price is going to do constantly is do what? Rebalance imbalances. And the rebalancing is this right here. It painting over the fair value gap again. That's it, efficiently delivering buy side. Why? Because there was no buy side within these ranges. It was strictly, you say the word. I'm not saying it. Sell side, exactly. There was only sell side within this area. So, and then the third thing, I'm not going to forget that. But the third thing that price does is it'll tend to rebalance to an equilibrium constantly, or a little bit below it. When it comes to any dealing range, price is always going to be, trying to rebalance to an equilibrium whenever it wants to, or whenever it has the need to. Okay. And the second thing, which is always imbalancing or always rebalancing imbalances, is what we're going over today. And guess what? Does price come up and rebalance those imbalances? Yes, it does. See, boing, 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 and then boom, those fair value gaps are now what did they do? There's a word for it. They're filled, or they're painted over, whatever you want to say, because it still counts. They're painted over, they're filled, both sides have been delivered, it doesn't matter. But these fair value gaps have officially been filled, so they are now gone. Simple, right? That was just a bearish example. That was just a bearish example, mind you. That was just a bearish example. We need to go over a bullish one. Obviously, I'm not going to leave bullish out. Who would do such a thing? Just leave out the bullish side? No. We don't do that here. Sorry. We do not do that here. So let's see if I can find one anywhere that's actually appropriate for your learning. We got one here. I'll go over like two. Since we had two fair value gaps there, I'll go over two bullish examples. Alrighty, bullish example. Within three candles, these are the three candles we're talking about. 1, 2, 3. See those three candles? Those are the three. Within a series of three candles, whenever there is a separation between the first and third candles wicks, that creates a what? A fair value gap. Okay, and since price is doing this while heading higher, within this range, what is happening? What is there an imbalance of? I said it before. It starts with a B. It's a BISI, yes. So what is going on here? What is there too much of? Too much of buy side. So. What is price going to do? Is going to paint over or try to fill some or most of it or all of the fair value gap to make sure both sides of the market have been delivered properly. It didn't do all of it. Okay, it didn't do all of it, mind you, it didn't do all of it. And sometimes it don't happen. That's why fair value gaps are very good when it comes to, entries and stuff, because price will tend to respect them a lot. And then they can even become targets. Like, for example, if you're taking a bearish fair value gap and you're selling, if you're taking a bearish fair value gap and you place a sell, right, and your target is all the way at a bullish fair value gap that price needs to fill, you can use the equilibrium or the entire fill of that bullish fair value gap as your target. So this isn't, I'm not going to say it's not normal, because price does this a lot. It'll sit there, come all the way down, fill like 99% of the gap, and then it'll move away. But still, you see how price immediately comes right back down and fills it? Now, I'm making the refill of the fair value gap very important, in which I shouldn't be, because price can do two things. Okay, you have to understand this. When it comes to these fair value gaps, it can do two things. It can respect them and use it to continue the active narrative. So if price is heading higher, it can use this bullish fair value gap to continue going higher. Keep that in mind. But like I said constantly, even if price taps into it just a little bit, like just a little bit, it's still refilling that gap. But there's still this tiny portion left right there. Still that tiny portion. See that? That's still there. So price has to come and fill that. But obviously it's not going to do it now, right? No, of course. But what I'm saying here is, don't just focus on the refill of the fair value gap. Understand that price can respect this, and you can use it for an entry point. Keep that in mind. So after we're done with these two bullish examples, we're going to go over how you can take trades with these, because I've been forgetting to do that recently when it comes to these videos. But anyway, you see how price comes right back down, refills most of the gap, and then guess what? Bounces away. Pretty cool, isn't it? Now, you can see when it comes to the bodies, right? The bodies in the wicks, it doesn't spend too much time in it. It kind of does, kind of doesn't, but whenever it does go into it, it immediately comes right back outside of it, and guess what? Boom. Shoots higher. Pretty cool, isn't it? I know. Anyway, one more bullish example. I'm not going to make this too long. One more bullish example. Let's see here. Is this one? Yep, that is one indeed. Okay, here we go. We have another bullish fair value gap right there. We can drag it out about right there. Don't need to drag it out too far. Here we go. So we have one tap into the fair value gap right here. Boom. And then delivers back higher. What is this called? This is called the respect of the fair value gap. Or this is called price using the fair value gap to deliver the active what? Narrative. And what is that narrative? It's clearly that price wants to go higher. So, since price wants to go higher, and it wants to use this fair value gap to continue the active narrative, and the active narrative is bullish, price is going to use this fair value gap to indeed send higher. But there's still the remainder of this gap here. So what is price going to do? It's going to fill it. Yep, it's going to fill it. It's going to fill it. Now we're going to go over one trade example on the 15-minute. But recently, this week's price action has been pretty terrible. But that's only due to the I was about to say fair value gaps, because I've been saying fair value gap so much. But it's mainly been due to the economic events recently. But anyway, let's find a little example here. Okay, here we go, bro. Finally, I found one example. So, I'm not going to introduce too many things, because there might be some things that you don't know. First, let me see if price purged this level. It did not. So, this would result in a, what is this, a failure swing? Let me see. Yep, this is a failure swing right there. So, one confluence we have right off the bat is price failed to come to this low. It literally was, how far away was it? literally 1.5 away from taking out the swing. So it failed to take out that swing, and guess what? It had a willingness to not stay in a discount because, yeah, we're in a, well, no, there's a major liquidity purge over here, and then we have a willingness to not stay in a discount because from here to here, if we draw like a little range right there, from this high to all the way down to that high, we're in a discount. So since price is jumping higher and displacing away from that low, causing a fair swing, that shows a willingness to not stay in a discount and jump up to a premium. Now, right off the bat, we have the tendency to rebalance opposing PD arrays, but not PD arrays, but fair value gaps. That being all these gaps here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 5 fair value gaps that are sitting here. And then the disrespect of these mitigation blocks right here. We have a mitigation block, we have a order block, we got another order block here, another mitigation block that was used. But as you can see, price clearly wants to go higher, obviously, right? It wants to go higher. There's 2 fair value gaps you can use in this situation. There's 2 fair value gaps, okay? That's if you want to be a safe or an aggressive trader. Me personally, I'm aggressive. So what I do, right, is with the current dealing range that we're currently trading in, like current dealing range we're trading in, which will be this here, right? What I would do is I would wait for price to leave the discount. Since I'm buying, I'll wait for it to leave the discount and make sure that it does not want to come back into a discount before I buy. That's if I want it to be safe. But if I want it to be aggressive, I'm like, okay, price wants to go higher. I would take the earliest entry that makes sense. When I say makes sense, price is respecting the PD array, it's going higher, but I just don't put in the confluence of, oh, price is staying or leaving the current dealing range's discount, in which down here, which I would have took my entry, right at this tiny fair value gap, you're probably like, what? Right there? Yes, right here. Swear to God, right here. Of course, this is in hindsight, but I don't trade on the 5 minutes, so this trade would not even exist. But if you were to trade on this time frame, right, or if I was to, this would be the fair value gap I would take if I was being aggressive. I would take it right there, boom. Let's go ahead and set a buy position right there. We can set our stop at the low of the fair value gap. Oh no, how much is that? That's like 20 points. Yeah, I'll set it there. That's a large amount. And you could take the most recent swing, which is pretty decent, honestly. How much is that? Yeah, that's, what? Man, that's 200 points. Get out of here. Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, 200 points. Oh, I'll take that any day. Well, no, 177 points. But that's life-changing money for most people. So, just off of that little fair value gap, you can see that price delivered higher with a, what is that, an 8 risk to reward? Yep, that says 8. As you can see, came up, came back down, hit that fair value gap right here, kept going. Hit this fair value gap, kept going. And then it just, so, you know, it just continuously kept bouncing off of fair value gaps as it was, you know, rallying to your take profit pretty aggressively here. And then this was the final hour macro, and then boom, there's 4 o'clock, which is the last hour, what is that, the last hour of market close? Or the last hour of the market, not market close. Last hour of the market, and then it says kaboom, hitting your take profit. Well, it hits it right here, but, you know, it just shoots to the roof after that. But just this little move here is life-changing. If you use, like, 2 minis, this is insane money. It's like 8 grand right there. Just, how long does it take? Like, about an hour? Yeah, literally just, well, no, not an hour. That's just 3 hours, yeah. 110 to 410, yeah, 3 hours for $8,000 on 2 minis. Pretty crazy. Anyway, this was episode 6, going over fair value gaps. I think I taught this pretty well. Hopefully, I did. You tell me. You give me feedback in the comments. But anyway, I'll be in this episode here. This is the Array Archive series, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Good luck and good trading.